you guys can see.
I just realized we don't have any recipes or any cards for you.
Kim's gonna post all that on our website.
Okay. So, poaching shrimp today.
Let me just pull this out.
All right. Perfect.
I'll take it around.
I need some of that shrimp to poach. So, poaching shrimp. The way I learned in culinary school, you want to poach things around 170 degrees. So I have this pot of water sitting here at 170 degrees. If you don't have a thermometer at home, 170 is not crucial. Less than a simmer. If it's rippling on top, turn it down just a hair. When you throw the cold shrimp in there, it's going to cool the water down a little bit. But a little bit less than a simmer is usually in the ballpark of 170 to 180, 190-ish. But I have this at 170 today, and then you're going to want to salt the water. A lot of people wonder how much salt to add to the water. I always see people take a little pinch in there and they're good to go. The way I was taught, working in restaurants throughout the years, make it taste like the ocean. It usually takes a little bit more salt than most people would add in there. And I always just kind of taste it. If it tastes like the ocean, you should be good. So, I mean, I don't have a guideline how much salt per cup of water or anything like that, but if it tastes like the sea, we should be good. So
You have to remember all that salt's not going into the shrimp. It'll seek equilibrium. So it's like when you have a tomato sauce that's too salty, and then you've heard people say stick a raw potato in it, and as it cooks, you know, the potato absorbs some of that in and helps you balance it out. And then you would pull the potato out and take some salt out. The same thing would apply to this. It's like it'll seek equilibrium in with the shrimp, so then the shrimp will draw in just enough to season it. You won't be getting all that. The water will still be salty and some of that. So don't think that it's just going to come out to be this big salt bomb.
salt bomb. So we're going to be passing around. Are we passing it?
I'll just kind of bring it around.
Okay.
All of this shrimp it's frozen. It starts out frozen. So you can buy this shrimp in the freezer aisle. This shrimp that we're having today is a 16-20 shrimp. And what that means is there's 16 to 20 shrimp per pound. That's a pretty good size shrimp. That's like a nice, luxurious, shrimp cocktail. Have something that big. They start scaling the size different. I think it goes 21.30 after that, and then 31.40s. You see all the way down to the little guy.
The higher the number, the smaller the shrimp.
So this is going to start out with frozen here, obviously, and then we thawed them out. These are actually called easy peel, and so what that means is they've been split down the middle and already cleaned. There is a vein that runs down the back of the shrimp that if you're getting a whole shrimp, you would take a knife and cut that out and pull that out. It's actually the intestinal tract. So people are always like, poop, pulling it out. Gross. But so these are easy peel and they're really handy. If you buy them frozen, you thaw them out. It's just because all you do is already split, and to take that shell off, peels off really easy. If you're doing a shrimp cocktail, you want to leave the tail on. If not, if you're eating the whole thing, you'll just pull the whole tail off, and then that's all meat. And then what Devon did for what we're gonna do, he's butterflying these open so they fit in our shrimp roll nice, but I'll bring those around in a second.
Okay. Where was I? So, once you get it peeled, you have your water going. It's as simple as dumping the shrimp in there. I think shrimp, seafood, shrimp needs to be cooked to about an internal temperature of about 155 degrees. Once again, if you don't have a thermometer, I still do it all the time. I take a shrimp out and cut it open, and if it's white, opaque throughout the whole thing, then it's done. There's still some translucent in the middle of it. Leave it in a little bit longer. That's still my best way of testing shrimp. It's too small to stick a thermometer in there, so I always just cut it open. If it's white all the way through, it should be cooked all the way. So once I get these thrown into the water, like I said, there's no specific time to cook these. It's just till they're done, which is a horrible way to teach a class. Cook it till it's done. But with the shrimp, if your water's a little bit warmer, it's going to cook a little bit faster. If it's cooler, you can turn it up. It all, you kind of just have to play around with it. Stir it up just so that the heat is even throughout there. And then this part's going to take a little bit, so I might just not sit here. But, I mean, this will probably take 5, 6, 7 minutes at about 170 degrees. If you're doing an entire bag, if the shrimp are still partially frozen, the different variables will give it a different cook time. But once these things are cooked, this is where we differ a little bit. John likes to cool his shrimp down in the poaching liquid. Do you add ice to it, or do you just put it on a warm bath?
And that's just who trains you. So when I was working at restaurants, that's how I was told how to cook.
I pull them out and put them in a bath of ice water. I've had people salt that water before too. I've been told, why are you going to cook it in salt water and then rinse all that flavor off in fresh water? So I've had people salt the water that you shock it into. I usually just cook it in the salt water, shock it in regular ice water, just to confuse everyone a little bit. There's many different ways to do this. So those are cooking. Basically what you come out with is a poached shrimp. Should we pass this around?
Yeah.
Poached shrimp. Usually they'll turn kind of a pinkish orange color. They are white throughout, yes.
So you're going to take the shrimp out of that and throw it in some ice water for how long?
Basically what you're doing is just shocking it just to stop the cooking process. Once it hits that ice water, it's just about ready to go. I leave it in there a little bit longer just to cool all the way through. 5 minutes is fine. But once you shock it in that water, the cooking process will stop. Similar to like blanching a vegetable or something like that, I guess. You throw it in the water, then you want to cool it in the ice water just to stop the cooking so it doesn't continue cooking. Same thing with the shrimp. These things aren't too far away. If the water is really hot, the shrimp will curl up, really, really tight curls. We've been shown many ways to do this. We've brought the water up and the shrimp in the water from cold, like a potato, I guess, and let it come up nice and slow like that till it's cooked. I've seen people take boiling water, throw the shrimp in, and then they want to get it out of that water as soon as possible. That's when you get the tough shrimp. The shrimp hit that hot water, curl up into little tight rubber bands, and then it's really, really chewy. So the lower the heat, the 170, is it keeps the shrimp a little bit more tender. It's just a little bit more pleasant eating experience.
If you have to cook a lot of them, do you cook them in small batches, or can you get a larger pot and drop more? I mean, because I know that a lot of them's going to drop the temperature.
Yeah.
But do you?
If I was to do this at home, I would probably, if I had like one bag of shrimp, I would probably just get a big pot and do it all in one pot.
Okay.
If you have a lot, get a bigger pot with more water, you know, have
Right.
equivalent.
Okay.
I mean, the shrimp need to be completely submerged in there. I always throw the way I usually do it is bring it up from cold. I don't know if that's the right way, but it's our way.
It's just a way.
It's
Okay.
a way. But they need to be completely submerged, so, a gallon of water per 2 pounds, give or
Okay.
take. That's a complete ballpark. You might want to edit that.
Yep.
Take that out.
We don't
Sure.
edit. Nah.
Now, Devon told me a gallon of water for 2 pounds of shrimp. I tried that, and it just turned out horribly.
Something about poaching that's a little different, so like sauteing shrimp, which a lot of people do, like on my mixed stir fry or whatever. Poaching allows you to add a lot of flavor to the shrimp in flavoring your poaching liquid. So whatever you cook it in is going to impart flavor on the shrimp too. So like I worked in a place where we put a bunch of Old Bay seasoning in the water, and that was the poaching liquid. Or herbs, you know, citrus, lemons and limes, anything that's gonna flavor that water, you wanna impart that flavor onto the shrimp. That's always a good way of doing it, so.
That's it.
It's a less used method, but it's also, it takes a little more finesse, and I think you end up with a better quality product. Because a lot of times when people saute the shrimp or stir fry the shrimp, you know, sauteing is high heat, and it tends to, you can get it overcooked if you're not careful and you don't know what you're doing, or you haven't blanched your vegetables already. It can lead to disaster.
Disaster.
Dun dun dun.
So the shrimp are cooked. I just cut one open. It was white throughout, so I drained off all the water, threw some ice in there, filled it up with some water, so it's shocked. Nice and shocked.
I'm shocked.
So now we have some nice cooked shrimp, nice poached shrimp. So we're gonna take those shrimp. I'm not a great public speaker, so are there any questions on anything I talked about here? We went over a lot of things, but there are a lot of different techniques. If you read a textbook, it'll tell you poach it at about 170 until it's done.
Okay.
But it's not too intimidating. It's fairly easy. You can control the temperature on that. You can control the cooking a lot more, like John said, instead of a saute pan or something like that. And it's a healthier way to do it. Even though there's salt in the water, you don't have to add the salt to the water. But
It does offer you a bigger window of error, so I mean, it's, you know, if you're worried that, oh my God, I don't want to overcook it, you know, turn the heat down, like you said. I mean, it gives you a lot more control over what's happening to the shrimp, other than a hot saute pan with, you know, oil.
so we're gonna take these poached shrimp now and make not a spring roll, a summer roll. So we have more stuff to pass around. All
For
right.
those hot summer days.
For those hot summer days. What a beautiful day for a summer roll. So we have these rice papers. You can get those at the any local Asian store. We got these right next door.
20 minutes ago.
So I don't even know what the ingredients are. Is it rice and water? Rice, flour, tapioca, water, salt. So these papers, my expert in wrapping, I should build that up.
Give you credit where credit's due.
So we're gonna fill these with a few ingredients. It's a good snack. It's fun to make with kids. And it's a healthy way. I've done these in the past with the shrimp, some of these ingredients here. It's just nice, light, refreshing, healthy. I've had these for a whole meal at home before.
You don't have to limit it to just shrimp too. I mean, you can put meat in it and, you know, get creative.
Yeah, at home I use just vegetables, but the ingredients we have today, we have some rice noodles. Oh, that one's open. There you go. Which I cook just like pasta. I use salted boiling water. I throw those in. They cook a lot faster than pasta. Probably 3 minutes in that water. And then you want to get those out of the water. Once again, shock it in ice water to stop the cooking. Those things, if they get overcooked, they'll start to fall apart. Cook those in boiling water. I think there's directions on the bag, but those are like pasta, three-ish minutes. And you come out with white-looking spaghetti. We toss this with some of the dressing that you're going to have with the rolls, just so it doesn't taste like it's a nice texture thing. So to add a little bit of dressing to that, the soy, a little bit of mustard, some rice vinegar, just helps flavor those noodles a little bit more. We have those noodles here, some carrots, cucumbers, the shrimp that we poached. I have some scallions, cilantro, and mint. You can throw anything you want in there. There's daikon, I've thrown cabbage in them before. Radishes if you'd like. Like John said, you can add different kinds of meat. So we're going to keep it simple, nice and light. The shrimp, the vegetables, and we're gonna go from there. So with the rice, the wrappers, again, you do it with warm water, right? So
Yeah.
I have one of these here. Pass that around, actually. There you go. They're very, very delicate. They crack very easily. Yeah, it feels like parchment paper. I have a pan of water here. I soak that in the water just so it's pliable. I've learned the hard way at home. The longer you soak those, the more water they'll absorb, and they get really waterlogged. They get really flimsy. You want to soak that in the water, and I just have cold water here. John does warm water.
Do you guys agree on anything?
No, except that.
Until it's pliable. And it's just one of those things that go by feel. You can put 2 or 3 in there. I'm just going to do 1 right now. But dead air right now. We're waiting.
You guys ever go to the Asian market? I don't know, it's kind of a fun place to go if you like to experiment with stuff. See stuff that you don't get in the normal grocery store. But, you know, like these things, these are just one of those fun ingredients to use that's totally different. The rice noodles or something, I mean, there's no real nutritional value to them. But as far as a wrapper goes, you know, something to use to bundle them up, they're really cool. If you guys have a couple people over your house, it's not that big a deal to roll, you know, a couple of these and put them out, and it's the veggies inside, like you said, you can put whatever you want, and, you know, you can make a healthier snack for that.
So that was in there for what, maybe a minute or so, and it's very, very pliable now. So I'm gonna lay that out and throw vegetable.
If you guys want to come up
Can
and
you
you
see
can't see
anything I'm
it,
doing on that? Does that mirror anything helpful at all?
you guys can walk. If you want.
Did you say there's die-cut in there?
Not today, but there can be.
Let's see what that looks like.
I could go get one.
Yeah,
Yeah, one.
it looks like a great big huge long radish.
Long,
And it's
white.
good.
It's almost like as long as, I mean, you can get as long as your arm, and sometimes that big around. They're really big. They usually have them here in the produce aisle, big, long, white, and they're just very radish-like, turnipy, kind of a little spice to them. Very watery and fresh, crisp.
So I laid this thing out flat. I have some mint, some cilantro. And the nice thing about these, if you want to present it all nice and pretty, you can see through this paper. So if you want to lay the shrimp out first so you can see the shrimp, that there's shrimp in there, completely up to you.
Can you push the thing forward?
It's actually, it's set.
Is it really?
You just, your,
Push
yeah,
it
your
forward on
hand.
your table. There you go.
Yeah.
We can almost see you.
They're in the way. Is that good there? Okay, all right, good.
Gonna hurt your
So now that you
back,
can't see the paper, then it's on a white cutting board. Guess we didn't think about that. I have the cilantro, the mint. I threw just a baton of the scallion. I have a bundle here. It can be as simple as taking your knife through it, however, whatever size you want to roll these things. And I have a bunch more right there already. Pretty quick and easy. I have some julienne cucumber. Same with the carrot. The amounts you put in, completely up to you. If you don't like carrot, you can easily leave it out. Some shrimp, and then some of these rice noodles. And then roll it up like you're making a burrito. Can you still see? Okay. And then this rice paper, once some of that water absorbs into it, it's out of the water, all that, it kind of glues itself together. So this thing, now that it's wrapped up, If they sit for a few minutes, they hold up really well. This thing's pretty durable now. But you can see it's kind of sticky a little bit, but that's perfectly fine. It's glues itself, and it's a nice little bundle of vegetables and goodness.